Hello, love. Welcome home to Eden. This is Love Life with Eve. So the question came in, why do I do this show? Why did I become a love life muse, love life coach, whatever it is I do? What happened to bring this about? Why am I here like almost every day? Why do I care so much about this topic? Well, I don't really understand why I'm thinking about this all the time, except for maybe it's because I'm so inept. I'm so bad at love that I'm always trying to figure it out. I mean, come on, I'm still single. All right, I was married for 16 years, but it went pretty bad. It was pretty rough. I don't think either one of us, I think we both felt like we got out of a war when we gave up finally, So, but the journey for me started seriously. Seriously, it started. It started when I was, I was raised in Berkeley, California, in the time where all kinds of intensity was going on in Berkeley of, important riots. Gay rights were big marches through the city. Anita Bryant was trying to make so that gay teachers would be fired. My mother at the time was a lesbian, and she was a teacher. Both my mothers were, and so I was raised by women, lesbians and feminists, and their intensity about women's rights was beautiful, but I did not get to see the dance of the masculine feminine play out. I never knew what that was like in its health and its balance. And in addition to that, I naturally am heterosexual. And so to find myself was tricky, especially also because my mothers were both feminine lesbians. A lot of times you see the butch dyke, and then you see the feminine lesbian, and then similarly with gay men, you have the really feminine one who's maybe in drag a lot, and the more macho guy. And that masculine feminine polarity is working out even with gay couples. But in this case, they were both feminine, and there was still no way for me to see what that dance was like. And on top of that, my own father had abandoned me, although he would show up every 2 years and make me totally fall in love with him. I mean, he was charismatic and handsome and talented, he had this huge sculpture park that he had created. He was famous, and I just fall in love with him, and then he would abandon me again and send me no birthday cards and no phone calls and nothing, just break my heart over and over again, over and over again. So I had this longing for the masculine, right? Had a lot of strong feminine, but longing for the masculine, and it sent me on a search. So when I entered my 20s and started dating guys, I felt like there was, I just didn't have the training I wanted in femininity, because the other thing is that lesbians, they'll say things like you're so cool when you wear overalls. You're so cool when you climb trees and you go barefoot. I love it that you cut your hair short and you changed your name to, I changed my name to Jean or Billie Jean or something. They love that, But when my real love of lace and silk, and my mom was just like nauseated. She's like, not again. She'd find me like in the free boxes in Berkeley, because she wouldn't get me, she didn't want to get me all this lace and shit. So I'd go to the free boxes and I'd find old slips. And I would poke holes in them for sleeves so I could wear lace, So she'd find this little ratty little slip I'm wearing, feeling so feminine and so happy. Yeah, so what happened though is in my 20s, I needed training in the heterosexual heterofeminism. I don't So what I did is I went and worked as an exotic dancer, and as a stripper, and I did this for 6 years. Actually, it was a deep training, in that, and I was able to like make big hair and makeup and heels and the whole thing, like explore it for the first time. Um, and I discovered, to my amazement, that in this realm that was supposed to be the most seedy, disgusting place where women were being used for their sexuality, I actually found that there was this worship of the feminine going on, that men were there to absolutely pray at the altar of the goddess's sensuality. And I was there too, like that. Like, it's just it was so awesome to watch these women dance in the beautiful lighting up high on these stages. And there would be glass around us a lot of times. So it was pretty classy in this situations we were usually in. Not always, some were really seedy and disgusting, but usually there was beautiful lighting, great music, and a distance between the men and us that we couldn't be touched. And there was no, in those days, you did not have to do lap dances or anything physical. And you went home with a really good pay, because even if the men were greedy that night, selfish, and just watching without tipping, acting like, I'm just watching. I don't, I'm not the kind of guy who care. What the hell are they watching for if they're not tipping? Come on, pay her for her work. But some girls, would get like $50 bills, $100 bills, because they have some sugar daddy who also wanted to take them out afterwards, But you didn't have to do it that way. You could just dance. You could make a good salary. You had a base salary in addition to your tips, and get a lot of exercise, and be in this dressing room for most of the night with these incredible women, everybody half naked in their beautiful lingerie. And the experience of being with those women backstage, I have to say, was just exalted. It was exalted because everybody was helping each other. All the women were like, oh, your hair looks so pretty that way, and you want my earrings? And sometimes there would even be, if one woman had gotten a lot of tips, and all the guys were spent by the time the next wave of women came out, there'd be tip swapping. I'm sharing backstage. Everybody put their money in a pile and share. It was just so feminine. It was so beautiful. So back to the show. Why am I doing this show? Because my longing for that masculine feminine balance is always going on. And what happened eventually with that job for me is, well, for one thing, they changed the industry to really be destructive to women. They made it so that women had to lap dance for almost no money, and in general just have to touch men, which you could, when you're just a burlesque dancer, even if you're dancing naked or half naked or whatever, you go home to your lover and feel like you hadn't broken any bond. But when they asked us to have to be basically physical with the guys, it really changed it. And also, they brought up the lights, they brought the stages down. They, instead of making us like goddesses to be prayed at our altar, they made it like we were squid, like cut open to be dissected and looked at like meat on a platter. Sort of disgusting. and Anyway, and the character went out of it, because when in the original burlesque, everybody had a whole persona. So you'd have the big huge lady who was like a gypsy, and then you'd have the dominatrix with her whip, and then you have the baby doll, and then you have the Barbie girl, and then you have the glamour queens, and you have everybody with a character and a style of movement. You had the two cowgirls who danced together. You had the African woman with her big long black hair, who's like a mermaid, always like a mermaid. Everybody did their shtick, But there was something really dangerous and scary about it, of course, too. A lot of drugs that we had to avoid if we were going to be there safely. And I ended up being the one caring for a lot of these women, trying to get them home safely. And I realized this is really dangerous. And there's a lot of men there that actually hated women. They were really there because they didn't love women and they didn't worship women. So I learned my lessons, got out in time before I got taken in by any of that really scary negative stuff. And I forgot what I was saying. Oh, so the thing is that when you look at the dance of the masculine and feminine on the planet right now, everybody really wants the same things. Like men and women both want love. They both want union. They both want sexual fulfillment. They both want to feel like they have a place in this world where they're loved, truly loved, right? But I was raised by feminists in such a way that I really got to understand how when men have an economic leverage on the women, when they're paid more, even if it's just a little more, and even if it's not all men, but it's in general over the whole public, that the men have this higher pay, and that the things that they do that men love to do, like building and uh, um, all kinds of, if you look at all the jobs that are paid really well, they're ones that men love to do. And if you look at the ones that women naturally love to do, like housework and, not that we all love to do housework, but like caring for children and fiber arts, and they're paid much, much, much lower, or almost nothing at all. Meaning that a woman, even like my daughter, going on a vacation with her boyfriend is immediately at a disservice, because her income isn't as high as his. Everything he does, he's paid more for. He's given immediately authority. People just assume he's if they're working as a team, they assume he's the leader, and they make him the manager right away instead of her, even though she's got incredible skills as a leader, right? And if you have in religion that God is made in the image of man, supposed